Our story feels deeply personal, but it exists within a much larger pattern that is quietly shaping relationships all over the world. Millions of marriages today are not collapsing in dramatic fashion. They are hovering in emotional limbo, held together by habit, responsibility, and fear of disruption rather than genuine connection. They look stable, but they feel hollow. Modern relationships are surrounded by the language of success. We measure progress in promotions, income, property, and milestones, yet rarely ask whether emotional bonds are growing alongside them. Stability is praised. Longevity is celebrated. Emotional fulfillment is treated as a luxury rather than a necessity. Studies increasingly show that emotional neglect, not infidelity or open conflict, is one of the most common causes of long-term relationship breakdown. But emotional neglect is hard to identify because it leaves no obvious evidence. There are no shocking headlines, no clear turning points, just a slow erosion of closeness. In many societies, people are taught how to build careers, but not how to sustain intimacy. Schools teach productivity. Workplaces reward efficiency. Very few spaces encourage emotional literacy, especially within long-term partnerships. Men, in particular, are often raised with conflicting expectations. They are told to be strong, reliable, and composed, yet are rarely taught how to express fear, sadness, or uncertainty in healthy ways. Vulnerability is framed as weakness, something to be managed privately or avoided altogether. As a result, many men learn to substitute emotional presence with practical contribution. Providing financially becomes the primary expression of love. Long hours at work are justified as sacrifice, even when they slowly hollow out emotional availability. Women, meanwhile, are often expected to be emotionally adaptive. They are encouraged to sense shifts, absorb tension, and preserve harmony. When their needs go unmet, they are subtly pressured to adjust rather than disrupt. These dynamics don't come from individual cruelty. They come from deeply embedded social conditioning. They are reinforced by families, media, and cultural narratives that romanticize endurance while ignoring emotional cost. The modern world also moves at a relentless pace. Notifications never stop. Work follows people home. Stress becomes constant background noise. In this environment, emotional check-ins feel inefficient, even indulgent. Couples learn to prioritize logistics over listening. Schedules replace conversations. Coordination replaces curiosity. The relationship becomes another system to manage rather than a space to explore. Social media adds another layer of complexity. Online, relationships are presented as polished highlight smiles, celebrations, shared adventures. Struggle is rarely visible, and when it is, it's often neatly packaged and resolved. This creates a distorted sense of normalcy. People begin to believe that everyone else is happier, more connected, more fulfilled. Their own quiet dissatisfaction feels abnormal, even shameful. Loneliness within relationships becomes especially isolating because it contradicts expectation. You're not supposed to feel alone when you're partnered, so when you do, you assume something is wrong with you. Many couples suffer in silence because they don't have language for what's missing. They know something feels off, but they can't point to a single cause. Without conflict or betrayal, pain feels illegitimate. Modern culture doesn't offer many models for navigating emotional drift. There are scripts for falling in love and for dramatic breakups, but very little guidance for what happens in between. Therapy and emotional support are still stigmatized in many communities. Seeking help is often seen as a sign of failure rather than responsibility. By the time couples reach out, patterns of disconnection are deeply entrenched. Economic pressure plays a significant role as well. Financial insecurity forces many couples into survival mode, where emotional needs are postponed indefinitely. When survival becomes the priority, connection becomes collateral damage. The irony is that emotional neglect often grows not from lack of care, but from too much pressure. People are exhausted, overworked, overstimulated. They don't stop loving. They stop having capacity. Modern marriages are also expected to fulfill roles once distributed across entire communities: emotional support, companionship, financial partnership, personal growth. Without skills and support, that weight becomes overwhelming. When those expectations aren't met, people internalize the failure. They ask, "What's wrong with us?" instead of, "What are we missing?" Silence becomes the default coping mechanism. It feels safer than confrontation, less risky than honesty. Over time, silence hardens into habit. The longer silence persists, the harder it becomes to break. Emotional conversations start to feel foreign, even threatening. People forget how to ask for what they need without guilt. This pattern explains why so many relationships appear intact, while individuals feel invisible within them. Emotional neglect doesn't require bad intentions, it only requires neglecting to notice what's quietly fading. Our story reflects this reality. It wasn't one mistake that unraveled us, but a system that never taught us how to maintain emotional connection in a sustainable way. Society often frames relationship breakdown as personal failure, but that framing ignores the structural forces that shape how people love, communicate, and cope. When emotional responsibility is misunderstood, love becomes passive. People wait for connection to happen naturally instead of actively nurturing it. The discomfort of naming emotional needs is often greater than the discomfort of suppressing them, at least in the short term. Long term, the cost is profound. Many people stay in emotionally unfulfilling relationships not because they are weak, but because they are conditioned to believe that this is normal adulthood. They are told that passion fades, connection dulls, and this is simply the price of stability. Few are told that emotional neglect is not inevitable, it is preventable. Our experience isn't an anomaly, it's a mirror. It reflects how modern society misunderstands love as a feeling rather than a practice, and communication as optional rather than essential. Until emotional fluency is valued as much as productivity, and vulnerability as much as strength, stories like ours will continue to unfold quietly, behind closed doors, in homes that look perfectly fine from the outside.